Shalom. Welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Delmar, together with my co-host Mark Ronich of Statewide News Service, jbiztechvalley.com. And as you can see right here, he is now the columnist for the Jewish Press.
Right, I write about a column about how government relates to the Jewish community, or doesn't, as the case may be. And I'm having fun doing all of that. So with us today, though, is someone who I've gotten to know more recently, Roger Green. So he's the president of Friends of the Albany Public Library.
That is correct.
So welcome to the Jewish View. It's so good to see you here.
First, we have to say thank you. Here, you know, our studio, if hopefully everybody knows that, is in the Albany Public Library, and you've been a great host to us for the last good few years. And so we have to first of all say thank you for letting us use your facilities.
Well, it's the library is, and we work with the
Tell us what the Friends of the Library is.
Friends of the Library started roughly 1947. And in the current iteration, which I'd say at least the last decade, we have been putting on programming for the library every Tuesday, unless it happens to be Christmas or something. And it's either someone talks about a book, or they may have an author talk about his or her book. And we've managed to do that on a fairly regular basis and attract 30 to 70 people per week, depending on the popularity of the book, the popularity of the person reviewing the book. But we do that. We've done that on a regular basis. Well, I've been on the board for over a dozen years, I think.
Well, it says since 2005.
Well, then that's probably true.
Until 2010, or that was a board member, it says.
Yes. Well, I won't doubt. I don't doubt it.
But you're still president, so.
I've only been president a couple of years.
Right. So I don't know why it's only 5 years. This comes off your LinkedIn.
Oh well, I haven't looked at my LinkedIn page. I'll go update my LinkedIn page right away.
Okay. Well, after the show's over.
I know how to leave right now. I'll fix that right up.
So, what do you do when you're not doing the Friends of the Library?
Well, one of the things I think this is true, that I am sort of a breakthrough person in the Friends. That I am the first person to be the president of the Friends of the Library who's a librarian.
Oh, very interesting.
So I work for the New York Small Business Development Center. I've been working there for 23 years. And one of the things that we do is we have 24 centers across the state, and we have advisors who meet with people who want to start a small business, or expand a small business, or maybe close a small business, and they want to pass it on to their next generation or something. And so we have very well-trained advisors who have lots of information they can provide to these clients. But every once in a while, they get questions that they cannot answer. So we have 4 librarians in our office, in the central office in downtown Albany. And we help them answer their questions about demographics or regulations or, two stuff. The 2 questions we've gotten a lot of lately is medical marijuana, of which there's very little room because the rules are very strict. But people say, "Oh, there's medical marijuana. Can I get into that?" and hops growing for beer. Because there's a license for the state that gives special emphasis to places that have beer where the hops and the barley are produced in the state of New York in a large percentage. So there's lots of people saying, I want to grow hops, or I want to be a.
It's a big market, that in New York State. I didn't even know about that.
It's growing. It wasn't the thing. The funny thing about hops in New York is that hops, for the longest time, was maybe a century ago, hops was big in New York State. And then it wasn't. Now, if you go to the census data, the Agriculture Department's census data, they don't even talk about New York. They only talk about Washington, Oregon, and Idaho.
Yeah, that's what I would think also.
So it's this rebirth of hops in New York is fairly recent. I mean, in the last half decade.
Yeah, right. No, I agree, because the governor put together this craft beer
Initiative.
right,
Yes.
yeah. And they have this annual roundtable discussion that's done in a square, but not a round table.
Right. Yeah, yes.
And they
Down in the egg or someplace.
yeah, and the governor always has a
Few
prize.
beers.
A prize for someone.
No, he sips. You know, you can't get
No,
really.
just joking around.
I mean, you
bring
gotta
a couple of beers home with me, so they do have free
Samples?
Well, free bottles. That,
Oh, well, you know, they've never invited me, so I.
Well, I'll send you an email.
If you
next
have
time.
connections,
Okay. All right. We'll go.
we're right,
So-
right down the street.
So you're involved. You're an information specialist, a
Right.
reference librarian at
Yes.
the New York State School Small Business Development Center.
Correct.
Okay. And
Well, I
that-
just wanted to know, what kind of education do you need to be a librarian? You know, because it's interesting, because I teach kids one of my 10 jobs, and I was talking about a librarian. They says, well, you have to go to school.
Yes.
I mean, they just, you know, they're high school kids, but they
No,
just
there's-
thought, you know, what book do you need? All right, I'll go to the
Mhm.
shelf. You need a whole, so just even
no, there's
like
a
that.
master's in
Yeah,
library
I have a
sciences.
master's
There's an
degree.
MLS.
That's
you know.
right,
All right,
which,
so-
which they've changed to MSIS, information
like that, yeah.
of information science. But there's it's a variety of things they've changed it to since I graduated. You know,
Mhm.
But you have to know about computers now. I mean,
Well, it's the funny thing about my job is that if I were ever going to write a paper about my job, it would be how the technology has changed. Because when we first started doing it, we would mail information to our 24 centers. And now it's all packages and PDFs. And so the task has changed. I mean, not the information hasn't changed that much. Well, that's not true either, because with the internet, people say, oh, it's all on the internet, so I can find it. But there's always more information that you have to that only are available from databases. The other thing the internet has done is that I think government's been really bad at this. They say, oh, well, we'll put it on our website. But of course, I look for that answer to that question. It's not on their website. So I end up having to call them and say, okay, what about this thing? And you have to find the right person. So there's a certain level of investigatory.
And specificity.
Yeah, because your stuff on the website is great, and if I need to know how many cars are in, you know, this county or
Right,
something
right.
like that from the DMV, it's there. But if I want to know how many Volkswagens, well,
Right, right.
actually, if you really want to know the number of Volkswagens, you have to file a FOIL.
That's right.
That's actually because the DMV won't. If it's not on their website,
Right.
you have to file a FOIL. I mean, I don't even. If it's not on their website,
Because someone has to do the research.
Yes.
For it. You know.
That's
Anyway,
right.
I wanted to ask you. You're a voracious writer.
I write some. Yes,
You do.
I write pretty much daily.
Yes, I would say. I mean,
At least.
Because you have a Times Union blog,
True.
something about information without the bun.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Okay. You also contributed to the Empire page.
Not of late, but I have
Not
done.
of late, but you have.
I have done that.
Okay, you got to update that. And then you have this thing called Blogiverse, or you did.
Yeah, that I haven't done it, but I have my
So-
own. In chronological order, I have my own blog.
Yeah.
I've had my own personal
what
blog.
do you write about? I mean, I haven't seen it.
I started in 2005, May 2nd, 2005. It's at rogerogreen.com. And I write about whatever strikes my fancy.
Right.
I write about
Culture.
I write about movies. I write about
Not specifically books, like a library, like
no,
reviewing books.
I write about movies. I write about sports if something strikes my fancy. But I also write a little bit about politics. Wrote yesterday, Easter, which was at the time, which recently at least, about Paul Ryan. He's the Speaker of the House,
Speaker of the House,
Right.
yeah.
who wrote a story in Sojourner magazine. It's a Christian online magazine. And he said that his understanding about people on welfare was that they were takers. There's a people who were makers, like manufacturers and working people, and takers. And he realized by talking to people who actually were poor and were not happy about being poor, that was wrong. He used the word twice, wrong. This is a politician.
Yeah, right.
And I thought that was a wonderful, I come from a Christian tradition, but it's true of most faith, of forgiveness and reconciliation and change. And that my sense is that now that he recognizes that he was wrong, then maybe that would lead to a different legislative agenda for under his tutelage. Of course, I posted this, and virtually all the people who commented, the 4 or 5 people who have commented, say, "Oh no, he's a bum. I want to prove it to me, show it to me," and I don't disagree with that. But I think you have to get to that place where you believe that you have to change before you can change.
Right.
And so I was taken by Paul Ryan's recognition of his shortcoming on this particular issue.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote about that.
Very excellent. That's a nice, interesting idea.
And I know that you've written, you just about write every day, and this, you wrote about Pittsburgh's bicentennial.
Right. That was probably for my, at work, I'm the representative to the, something called the State Data Center. And I probably published that both in my Times Union blog and on the State Data Center blog, because it's a sort of a junk.
And you wrote about local students' art displayed at the Empire State Plaza.
Well, that was biased. My daughter was in it.
Oh, is that
Yes, yeah. My daughter, who's 12, just turned 12, actually, has 2 pieces in the artwork.
Oh, okay.
I haven't written yet about the reaction to it. That was more like, this is going to happen. This is about to happen. I haven't written about what did she do, but I will.
You'll gush.
I'll gush about it.
Right.
The reason I started my blog, my personal blog, 11 years ago, was that my daughter was born a year before. I said, "Hey, look, I'm going to write about my daughter in my notebook." And I wrote maybe 3 paragraphs, and I was like, "Oh, you're terrible. You're a terrible father. What are you going to write better than that?" So I started a blog, and every 26th of the month, without fail, I will write something about my daughter, and I've held to that. And something about the public. No one else is holding me accountable to do this.
No, of course not.
Only I'm holding.
Right.
But the fact that I said to myself, not to anyone else, I will publish something about my daughter every 26th of the month, means that I have done so for 11 years, because that was important to me.
Well, that's why we have the blogosphere, because you can do things like that, and it's an outlet,
Right.
and it relieves a lot of frustration.
Right.
But you also had the danger of American fascism,
Yes.
and I was wondering if you could talk about that a little bit, because you wrote that they claimed to be super patriots, but they would destroy every liberty guaranteed by the Constitution.
Well, that was in reference to a particular candidate he's 69 years old, has orange hair. I don't know if I need to mention him by name, but
I wouldn't know. I'm not a candidate. No.
What's that?
Orange hair. You're talking about Mark. He's running.
No, I know. I mean, much more orange and much more
not
and much more
69
puffy.
either.
He's not 69.
So who is it?
Oh, it's Donald. The Donald.
Oh, you think he has orange hair? Okay.
Well, it's a sort of it's an unnatural
yes,
color.
It is an unnatural color. Yes. It doesn't look right. And
It doesn't look.
Someone who's 69 should not have color. In his
Yeah,
hair.
it looks, unless he's really had, grew up with that. And so I'm concerned about, I'm concerned about the world. I mean, the truth of the matter is, I'm a political science major. I went to New Paltz 1,000 years ago as an undergrad. And then I went to,
Graduate school.
well, no, I worked at a comic book store for 8.5 years.
Yeah, really?
Well, Fantaco.
That's right.
That's right.
Long before I went to graduate school. I worked there, and then I quit after 8.5 years, because it was 8.5 years.
It went under.
No, it didn't go on for another decade.
Another decade, but still.
Well, it was the result of me going. It died 10 years later. Yeah.
Once you left, that was the end.
Yeah,
of it,
well, pretty much.
That's right.
And then after another job I had for a year, and I was tooling around. I was working the census, actually. I liked working the census. It was
Yeah.
sort of interesting.
Well,
But my friend said, you ought to go to library school because your mind works like that. And I said, I don't want to go to grad school. Oh, you're kidding me. I'd be the oldest person there, and I don't want to do this, and da da da. As it turns out, I did a study at school. I mean, my dean wanted me to do a study, and I think I was 37 at the time, and the average age, the median age of the people there was 37.
Really?
So it was
Right,
like, oh,
right
I'm
there.
just like right
Which grade school did you go to?
Albany.
Right here. at
Right here, right, the
Albany?
downtown-
Albany has a very good library sciences.
Yeah, the downtown campus,
Yeah.
Right, right.
which is great. I prefer the downtown campus to the uptown campus because I found the uptown campus.
Cold and stark.
You said it, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't disagree, mind you.
I love it. That's what attracted me to the college was the design of the campus.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, whether someone says it's cold and stark, and I say it's warm and fuzzy, and I like the Edward Durrell Stone part of the symmetry. You know, I think that was terrific. But now, you know, as the university needed to raise money and do more things, they gotten a little far afield of the symmetry part.
Oh, it definitely has. But I always loved this. Some movie that came out in 1980 called Rollover.
Yes, Rollo. They
I
filmed it there.
I saw it. I said I went to see that movie, which
Yeah.
is terrible, by the way.
And
Only because that was in there.
Chris Christopherson and Jane
Jane
Fonda.
Fonda, yes.
And they stayed at the Desmond, and I actually called up to talk to Chris Christopherson, and they put me through to his room, and he says, "Who is this?" And I told him, and he went, "That's it." But at least I got through, and I heard his voice.
Oh,
and,
there you
know,
go.
But
Who is this?
you know, but they also the scene when I saw the movie, the scene that they did was they came out of a meeting in one of the Arab countries,
Right,
and they were walking down the steps at the LOB.
right.
The meeting that they had was at the assembly hall of the university campus center.
Right.
So they were at the campus center for the meeting, and as they walked out of the meeting, they walked down the well steps, the marble steps in the well. So it was like, you know, I knew that it was, you know, miles apart,
yes.
and I knew what the editing was. But most of the other people who would watch it would think, hey, that's an Arabian set, you know. And
The magic film.
the magic of that's right. And
I liked it.
I thought I'd engage you with that little story.
I like film. I like seeing movies in movie theaters, and I think I like it because it allows you to divorce yourself from the other things. When you're watching video, and say the topic is a tough topic. You might, if it's a video, you might say, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna pause as well," and you don't get a real sense of how you feel about it. And so, or the comedy gets broken, or whatever happens. I always prefer seeing film. Not that I've never seen videos.
I have friends who have mini theaters in their homes. That when you sit there and you watch the movie, the biggest distraction is someone coming in and saying, a spouse coming in and saying, "I need you to do this."
Yeah,
It
wrecks the
wrecks the
momentum, the movie's momentum.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you can't enjoy it, but it's just different. I like seeing movies the second time on video. I mean, to see, catch all those little nuances you might have missed.
Right. The goofs, the trivia.
The trivia, pause this. Who was that actor again? That kind of thing.
Well, I call up IMDb on my computer when I'm watching a movie, so I could see who the actor is to the character.
I hope your thing didn't glow too much and distract the other people in the theater.
No, I don't do it in the theater.
Oh, thank goodness. You're a civilized
But
man.
I do it in when I watch it in my living room.
Okay.
That's I have my computer, with the IMDb, and I also compare it. And then when I want to find out about whether the actor is alive or not, or something more about the actor, I'll click on that and I'll read more about it as the movie's going on. I multitask.
Oh, yes. See, I divorce myself. I can multitask. But I don't especially enjoy it. I think I do less well with both of them. I'm less in the moment, for lack of a better cliche. When I'm I'm doing this and I'm doing this, I like doing this and enjoying this and getting as much of this as possible.
More linear.
It's okay.
We're concentrating. I like to say you're concentrating on one thing. I'm like that too.
So tell me, what did you do for the Empire page? when you worked there?
I,
Were
I've
you a
left.
contributor, but what did
I,
you
I,
contribute?
I don't recall.
Okay.
I'll talk a little bit more about the Friends, though.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah,
about
that's-
the
How about
Friends.
that?
Tell me
That
more
was the
about
original
Friends.
point.
Well, the
Yeah.
original point is that one of the things that we're having in April is that we're having, every once or twice a year, we have one of these book and author things. You
Can
could show
see
that.
it there?
Can you
I'm-
see
I'm
that?
trying
Can you
to-
read that? Can they even read that on
I
there?
don't know.
Well, anyway, Lynn Miller Lockman is a well-known children's author, book author. And she is coming to Albany on April 9th
From where?
from New York. Well, she's coming from New York City.
Oh, that's not far.
Well, she's coming up the train. But I mean, she's not local. But she's coming up, and at 12 o'clock on the 9th of April, we're going to be doing, having a luncheon at the University Club, which is $20, which is what it costs. There's no profit being made here. They charge us $20.
Right.
We're charging people $20.
Okay.
There's no. And then at 1:30, she's going to talk at the library.
Oh, at the library.
At the library.
Okay.
With library, at 161 Washington Avenue.
Right.
In case you.
And the University Club is just down, is one
Well,
block away.
like a one
Yeah,
block
right.
away. That's
Yeah.
why we pick it, because it's
So close.
yeah, it does. And they have a decent food, and they have a lot of other good amenities they serve as well.
And they'll take in kosher food if you
Really?
know.
They're very accommodating.
They're very accommodating.
They're very accommodating people.
They will make, make arrangements.
Alright,
for
good.
For kosher, for vegan, I mean, the people,
halal.
yes.
Yeah.
My daughter has a peanut allergy. Not that she's going, but
So you have this Lynn Miller Lockman,
yes.
and who else?
Well, that's the next one we're doing.
Yeah, okay.
We're doing. We're also working. There's an entity called the Albany Public Library Foundation, and one of the things that's been great about what's happened this last year or so is that the Friends have been invited to go to the meetings of the foundation. They raised money to do various and sundry things for the
So the
library.
foundation raises the money. I thought the Friends raised.
We also raise some money.
You
In
do?
fact, we do raise money, but the money we raise tends to come from our membership,
Right.
and it's only $15.
Right. Shameless plug.
Well, you asked
It's
the
fine.
question.
That's fine. Everyone should join for $15.
You should join for $15 a year. And what do you do? What do you get for your $15?
Yeah, right.
Well,
That's a good question.
well, that's a reasonable question. We send out a postcard once a month and tell you who the speakers are going to be for the month of April. So the postcard for April has that, and also they have the thing about Lynn Miller Lockman, and then the May, et cetera. Let's see, what else we should talk about? Oh, and in the fall, the foundation, not us, but we'll work with them, are having one of the literary legends thing that they've had for like the last 2 or 3 years. And we always try to support that as a fellow library organization. This year it's going to be Leonard Slade, who's a poet, black writer from SUNY, and Marion Roach Smith, who wrote something called the Memoir Project, which is about how people can take their memoirs to, she's written other things too, but those are the 2 books that we're particularly noting because we're having some events, the foundation's actually having some events in April to promote that.
Who heads up the foundation?
Holly McKenna,
Oh, really?
yes,
Okay.
she used to be on the board.
Yeah, I know.
On the,
her. I know
So
her
you're
husband.
picking out the speakers? I mean, you personally,
There was a collective decision to pick out those. I mean, for the foundation.
yeah, right. I mean,
Well, the board of the foundation picked out the speakers. I had input into that process.
You also had Jack McEnany.
Yes, Jack is great.
Can you tell me what your connection is? Because it seems like he's doing some sort of history about Albany, video.
Yeah, well, we had him speaking. I think it was last fall, perhaps.
Yeah, I was there for that.
And he's just a font of information.
But is there some
Relational? Well,
Yeah.
with the library, yes, because I think he's been an advisor, I don't know formally or not, with the history room
Okay.
upstairs. So I think he has because he just knows so much.
He does know
stuff.
so much, yes.
And he's not that old, but he knows
Right.
the history well before his time.
Yeah, and he could talk about any ethnicity that was in the city of
Mm-hmm.
Albany at any time.
Yes, and it takes me a while because I grew up in Binghamton, which
Yes.
is
To Binghamton High School.
Binghamton Central High School, actually. And it was back in the days when there was a Central High School before they merged into
Okay.
one high school.
Class of
In
71.
yes, thank you very much for that. Yeah, they merged in '82.
Okay.
So if you're on some sort of social media, they'll say Binghamton's High School before 1982, which
Right.
was the Central and North, and Binghamton High School after 1982.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so yes.
Okay, so so he knows, that he's going to be on the show. He's been on the show before, but I thought there was some sort of connection.
Well, you should ask him.
Well,
specifically.
what's your biggest, what did you hear from him that you were like so surprised about? Like, it was like, wow, I can't believe that.
Well, you know what it is? It's that since I didn't grow up here, I've only been here for like 35 years. And when you're in Albany, I mean, the people who grew up and then knew the different high schools and they knew
Yeah.
the different things, and all that stuff is secondary to me. It's not. So almost all of that stuff
Okay.
that happened before I got here is sort of.
Mhm.
I mean, I obviously have been here 35 years to pick up
Right.
things. But his was so fine that there was an inordinate amount of stuff that I didn't know that. Didn't know that either. So,
Because you actually had to cut him off.
yes.
He was there.
No, he could have gone
on for
he could-
hours. Yeah.
The man could have spoken for 3 hours, and I don't think that was an exaggeration.
Right.
And people would have listened to him for 3 hours.
And they would have asked questions.
Yes.
And they would have wanted more. And
Yes. No, he was my assemblyman. I voted for him more than once. Since he's not running, I can say that.
Okay. So what's for the future of Friends of? What do you see?
Well, one of the things I see as a, I've been doing this assessment. Oh, the other thing that I've been doing specifically, is that there are other Friends organizations of other libraries.
Yes.
And of Detroit and East
Schenectady.
Greenbush. Well, no, actually, that's not Schenectady because the
Clifton
cutoff is
Park.
the ones that are tied to.
I think Clifton Park has a Friends.
Yeah, I know they do, but the ones that have been meeting have been ones that are part of the ones that this
okay,
one
okay.
and
The
the
library
Schenectady system
Is
goes.
Mohawk Valley.
Schenectady goes
Yeah,
that way, westward, and ours goes southward. So
Right.
Albany and Rensselaer County
Okay.
are to be the ones that tend to be getting together.
I
But
see.
what they've been doing is saying, well, we do this. Oh, we might do that. So we've been sharing ideas about how to market the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we have the people to do X and Y and Z.
Mhm.
So that's been.
Yes.
That's been a useful thing. So, you learn these things and you say, oh, they do that. Well, maybe we ought to do that. But how do we get from
Right. Point A
here
to point B.
point
yeah.
B? Because we've been doing this the way we've been doing it for a very long time.
How long have you been president?
Since I want to say 2013,
Okay.
June.
So it's been about 3 years.
2 or 3 years, yeah, I think so.
You tired of it, or you enjoy it, or?
I like parts of it. I like the part where I keep learning things.
Uh-huh.
And I say, for instance, I like going to the meetings of all the other Friends groups.
Okay.
Because that is great. It's like to see things from a different point of view. You get very insular. Well, not just me, but we all, I suppose, get a little insular about doing the things that we do all the time the same way. And said, is this, and without even thinking about it. It's not like you're stuck. You get up and take your shower and go to work the same way all the time.
Okay.
All right, Richard, that's, you're doing, Roger Green, Mr. Green.
Yeah, well,
Your green shirt, I should know you're green.
That was the tip off. See, I had a sweatshirt and that was green
You're
too.
green. Listen, you're doing great work. It's a volunteer position. You're not getting paid
It's
for
all
anything.
that what we do is all volunteer.
All right,
positions.
so I mean,
Yes.
that's kudos to you that, a lot of people are civic minded, that they help out in, different ways that they can, and that's very, very noble for you that you're helping out the library, helping out the community, bringing speakers, and you know, we wish you only the best and do it with good health.
Yeah,
Well,
much
thank you.
continued success, yes.
Well, thank you very
Wonderful
much.
to have you here.
This was not painful.